afternoon, nanday, good evening. I'm sorry, rasanya tuh masih kayak siang gitu. Soalnya Risu bangunnya siang. Hati-hati ya. So, hello everyone, good evening. How are you guys doing? I'm doing fine here, haha. And tonight, I would like to read you some stories. Kita medyo namimasu. Waduh, ada yang baru bangun, jadi selamat pagi katanya. Nangge. So, tonight, I would like to read a light novel of my favorite anime series. It's a very wholesome series, if I would say. It's like, what is it? It's like fantasy slice of life. And almost all of the characters are female, which I really like. Jadi, Risu mau baca light novel dari salah satu anime kesukaan Risu. Jadi, itu judulnya panjang banget, Risu aja lupa nih. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Yes, that's the title. Terus juga animenya itu kayak slice of life fantasy gitu. Jadi banyak mostly jadi karakternya itu kebanyakan cewek. Iya, karakter utamanya cewek gitu. Terus makanya Risu suka banget dan Risu pengen bacain untuk kalian light novelnya gitu. So maybe you've already watched the anime, and right now because it most likely that most of you already watched the anime, that's why I would like to read this story to you, the light novel, because hey, reading is also fun. And tonight I would like to read until like prologue, first chapter and second chapter. I would like to read three chapters in total, including the prologue. Yes, so Tanoshimiiiii! Yay! Penyihir dari bukit. Yes! これはね、私のアニメもなんか見ていました。そしてこのストーリーかな。めっちゃ好き。面白かったんだよ。だから今夜はライトノベルI will read the light novel. I don't know how to speak Japanese all of a sudden. So, if you guys want to listen to me reading the story, reading the light novel, please have a nice comfy seat, or maybe when you're working you can just put this on background so you can just listen to it. You know, that's nice. Also, well, you read the light novel but didn't watch the anime. The anime is actually pretty wholesome because it gives out the character. Yeah, it gives out the much more personality. Ouch. For the character, I watch the anime and I was like, yes, I like this so much. And it doesn't matter whether you watch the anime or only read the manga, or you just read the light novel. Let's just enjoy tonight because tonight is very nice. A very nice evening to read some light novel and being comfy with Risu. Yeah! Oh, Halkara was my favorite, so I'll watch it then. I also like Halkara. Halkara is so funny. Steadu. Okay, so without further ado, let's just read. Kono? Today. Also, before I start reading it, I would like to tell you something that for new members who just registered to the Book Walker, yes, the site for reading a legal light novel or manga for purchasing is named Book Walker. So you can just search it, and if you just registered and you want to buy some books, you can use the coupon with my name, Risu, to get 600 yen discount. Yes. some people actually already did that on the previous Kumoko stream. So if you're new on this and you want to purchase a manga or another light novel, you can, and you're a new register there, you can use the coupon under the name Risu. Yes, and get the discount. Website apa Risu? Websitenya itu Book Walker. Itu. Jadi bisa dicari, itu ada pokoknya Book Walker. Yes. Yes. Ini dari berapa? Ini dari awal. Jadi, so this is, I'm gonna read it from the very beginning, the first book. これな見てるんですか？見ているんですか？Okay, so I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. これは誰でしょうか？このドラゴン。When I opened the door, I saw a dragon. Don't tell me you've come to test your strength. これはね、this is Azusa, the witch of the highlands. And this is Sharisha, the little sister of the slime spirit. And this Harkara, the elf apothecary. And this is Laika, the red dragon girl. And this is Falfa, the big sister from the slime spirit. Yeah! これね。これは誰でしょうか？This is copyright. Okay, we're starting from prologue, okay? Ding ding ding. Can you guys read it? I really wish you guys doesn't have any hard time to read this. Are you guys okay reading this? ちょっと水を飲みましょう。On PC you can read it? Okay. Should I make it bigger? Maybe? Should I? こんな感じ？ちょっと待って。こんな感じなのかな？こんな感じでいいと思う。Okay. So let's read. Okay. So do you want me to turn off the background music, because of course you just want to be immersed in the story, right? So do you want me to turn off the background music? Okay. Narada. Sha! Prologue! Let's go! I take it. Okay. And is my voice alright? Is it not too loud? Or is it too soft? Tell me if you need You needed to be adjusted. Do ka na? Tasin no koe wa ii desu ka? Gimana suaranya Risu? Apakah baik-baik saja? Kurang besar atau terlalu besar? Okay. It's a little too small? Really? Dejavu? Okay, ちょっと待って。これはどうでしょうか？これはいいのかな？はあ。Okay! Yeah, you can hear my clock! だよ。OK! じゃあ行こうか。Prologue! はいはい。Azusa Aizawa, 27, female, single, corporate wage slave. I live for my job and only for my job. I set aside romance, leisure, and everything else for the daily slog. My record was 50 consecutive work days. I wonder what happened to the Labor Standards Act. One day, while I was working away, I blacked out. When I opened my eyes again, I saw the face of a young woman. She appeared to have angel wings or something like that. I died, didn't I? In the end, my life had been empty of everything except punching the clock. I didn't know whether this individual was an angel or a grim reaper, but she was probably something along those lines. That's right. You worked too much and it killed you in your 20s, you poor thing. The girl pitied me. She must have been a kind person. Though this could never truly make up for it, I will ensure that your next life has the potential to bring you sheer happiness. What sort of power would you like? If you wish, you could be reborn as a royal princess. And either gender is fine. You are free to choose nearly anything. I can wish for anything? Really? Yes! I have a habit of indulging women, you see? Isn't that gender inequality? Well, I suppose I'd rather have fewer restrictions than more. Make me completely immortal, then if you would. That was what I wished for. Work had run me ragged until the end of a short life, so for this round I wanted to take my time. In that case, I'll reincarnate you in a body that circulates mana so you won't age. Evidently, she could just do things like that, huh? Fantastic. Do you have any other request? No. That's enough for me. You're sure? Yes. What I want is a long, slow, laid-back life. I'd like to be self-sufficient for the basic and live off in the mountains or somewhere similar. Then, if I could help out in a nearby village in exchange for things like salt that are harder to come by, I'm not sure I could ask for more. Ha! I lived in metropolitan Tokyo, so I wanted a carefree existence in a house in the mountains. Granted, all I'd seen of that metropolis was the road between my apartment and my office, so I couldn't exactly claim to have had my fill of big city life, but still. I can see how hard your former life must have been. Alright,
I'll give you a fresh start with eternal youth in the peaceful highlands. I'm sure you didn't intend to request a long life as an old lady, so let's make you immortal at 17.
My consciousness faded out again. When I awoke, I was lying on a high plain. There was a single house nearby. As I approached, I noticed a sign posted on the door. Interestingly enough, although it couldn't have been in Japanese, I could somehow read it. This has been our house for a long time, but we're going to move in with our son and his wife who live in town. Oh, if anyone wants it, they're welcome to it. We've left the door unlocked. What incredibly generous people. Luck is really on my side. Nah, I suppose it isn't really luck. That angel girl did reincarnate me here on purpose. Speaking of reincarnation, I wondered what I look like now. I went into the house and hunted for a mirror. I'm 17, alright. Not a bad face. The European features will take some getting used to, but still. I had stunning blonde hair that fell to my waist, and my eyes were a vivid light blue, almost Turkish. I didn't know how beauty was measured in this world, but I was pretty cute. If I decided to go to high school, I'd probably get all the boys. I wasn't wearing the white clothes of the dead either. These were straight out of a fantasy world, complete with a pointed black hat that would be unmistakable even from a distance. It looked virtually witchy. Okay, starting today, this is my house, Azusa's house. I was in another world now, and I thought katakana script might fit the atmosphere better than the standard kanji character I'd always used to write my name. It would also help it sink in that I turned over a new leaf. That settled it. I'd start calling myself Azusa in katakana. There was a plowed field beside the house that I'd most likely be able to harvest vegetables from. If I wanted a self-sufficient life, this place was ready-made for it. There were 15 or so gold coins in the clothes I'd been reincarnated in, so buying the bare necessities was unlikely to present a problem. A knife hung at my waist as well. I was a woman living alone, so it was probably wise to have something like this. At the bottom of the hill, I saw a small town. More of a village, really. Maybe I'll wander over and do a little shopping. I wanted to ask about the area anyway. Let's go! On the way to the village, my path was blocked by a jiggly, jelly-like creature. Oh, a slime? Maybe it was the thing's appearance, but I wasn't worried at all. A cat might as well have stepped out in front of me. That's it. Like any monster, it clearly meant to attack me. With cats, the mere sight of human was generally enough to give them a start and make them back off, so the situation weren't exactly the same. I drew my knife. If this was a slime, I had to kill it. I attacked. Hey! The knife slid into the gelatinous body. Boop! A weird sensation traveled through my hand to the rest of me. Had that done anything? Hey! Well, I'd stabbed it, so I'd probably inflicted damage. Round 2. Hey! Boom. That one had more of an effect, maybe. The angry, I assumed, slime rammed me. The impact knocked me back a step, but it didn't really hurt. Safe in the knowledge I wouldn't be harmed, I went after it mercilessly. Haha! Take that, and that, and that! Hey! One of those blows must have finished it off, as the slime changed shape and became a small jaw. In games, when you kill monsters, you get money. Ta-ding! This probably served that purpose. Self-sufficient though I might have been, I'd need currency to buy daily necessities, so I took it without hesitation. Before I reached the village, I encountered and killed 2 more slimes. Slime seems to be pretty common. The village wasn't that big, but it was trim and tidy. It looked rather Swiss. Come to think of it, sightseeing in Switzerland had been a dream of mine, but in the end I worked myself to death and I'd never gotten to do it. Well, even if I'd had vacation time, I probably would have spent it at home sleeping as much as I possibly could instead of going on a trip. I spotted a kind-looking woman and called to her. Excuse me, I just moved into a house in the Highlands. Could you tell me about this village? Ah, this is the village of Fleta. I'd say young Natalie at guild reception is quite knowledgeable about... this is the village of Fleta. I'd say young Natalie at guild reception is quite knowledgeable about the place. She introduced it to adventurers who journey here from other areas, so she is used to explaining things. Ah, I see. Makes sense. Thank you very much. This is your first time visiting, isn't it? I will take you to the guild. Though it's a small village, so I imagine you'd find it on your own before too long. Haha, great, thanks. I followed the woman, who actually was a kind and she looked to the guild. It wasn't that small, This place was peaceful enough and there probably wasn't the need for many adventurers around these parts. Ah, Mr. Emal, good afternoon. Natalie, this is our new neighbor. Tell her about the village, would you? Yes, of course. I'll go over it with you right here at the reception. Mr. Emal left us then. She lives nearby, so we'll probably run into each other again soon. Oh, I'm Azusa. I moved into the house in the Highlands. Oh, there? It's a nice place, but not so convenient for the elderly. It will be ideal to have someone young living there. Then Natalie gave me the rundown about this little hamlet. Maybe because she'd explained the same thing many times before, her smile was smooth and practiced. First and foremost, she said, the village was peaceful, tranquil, and serene. Even on a casual stroll, you could sense the clearly pastoral atmosphere. Cows and sheep were in no short supply, and if the area had a local specialty, it was their dairy products. The count who owned this land lived far away, and the village chief he'd appointed was a native with a drama-free regime. I don't know how to read that. Slimes are just about the only monsters around here. As a result, it's so safe that you could even nap outside of the village. Ah, excellent! It's a small community, but you'll be able to buy the basic everyday staples, bread and salt and things, so don't worry. However, with our low population, trading may prove difficult. Oh, what Natalie said reminded me of something. Oh yeah, so on the way here I defeated a few slimes and ended up with these jewels. What are they? Ah, when you kill a monster, you receive a gem known as a magic stone. You can exchange them for money here at the guild. These are worth 600 gold, meaning 6 copper coins. In Japanese currency, would that be about 600 yen? That wouldn't cover more than a single trip to a cafe, but if rent was a non-issue, I'd be able to make a living killing only as many slime as I needed. Okay, exchange them for me right away, please. To do that, you'll need to register with the guild as an adventurer. Is that alright? Sure, no problem. At that point, Natalie brought out an object that looked like a slate. First, Place your hand on this slate, please. It will display your class and status, and then we'll register that information at the guild. Ah, okay. I set my hand on it, mentally commenting that this reminded me of fingerprint authentication. My status popped up in the upper part of the tablet. Oh, so that's my status. Azusa, class which level 1? Special abilities, etc. Okay, alright. Wow, you're immortal? That's incredible! Natalie was startled. Well, I guess you would be. My class was witch, apparently. It is true that some witches can fine-tune the circulation of mana, magical power in their bodies to extend their lives, but immortal at level 1? How can that be? You must have a tremendous aptitude for it.
It sure is strange. Maybe I'm just lucky. I'll keep the stuff about the reincarnation bonus to myself.
Here, let me pay you for those magic stones. She gave me 6 coppers. I'll start saving up by killing slimes then. Yes, and the guild is looking forward to your patronage, Miss Azusa. I'd gotten some gold coins when I reincarnated, so I spent them on groceries and seeds to plant in my field. Looked like I was all set to live here for a while. 3 more slimes showed up on my way home, so I vanquished them with my knife. More magic stones and more of the money they would bring me. Yay! After that, my laid-back life began. I did virtually nothing, day in and day out. First, I slept as long as I wanted. I tended to field here and there. When I wanted some exercise, I killed slimes. And since they were a valuable source of cash, I made sure to dispatch at least 20 of them daily. Sometimes, I ventured into the nearby woods. Maybe it was my status as a witch that let me immediately identify which plants were medicinal herbs. From time to time, I blended them into various concoctions and took them down to the village to sell. I wasn't trying to turn a profit, so I priced them at less than the market value. When people in the village were suddenly taken ill, I'd examine them and give them my homemade herbal medicines, and after all, I couldn't just stand by and watch the villagers drop like flies. Thanks to that, people started calling me the Great Witch of the Highlands out of respect. Some of them even brought gifts like cheese and other dairy products up to the house. That was much appreciated. I considered reading grimoires in my spare time, but they were really expensive. Still, after mowing down slimes for a while, I'd save enough to buy several. Once I set my sights on something I wanted, slime slaying lit a fire in me. Other than that, nothing unusual happened. Possibly because I was immortal, I didn't age, of course, and I almost never got sick. As a rule, no one came to see me at my house in the Highlands, which didn't trouble me much. I'd lived alone when I was an office worker in Japan too. It was during my second life that I first came to understand the meaning of leisure with dignity, for sure. And just like that, 300 years passed. Ta-ding! ちょっと水を飲みます。Okay, are you ready for the next chapter? I maxed out my level. You heard that right. I made a living by killing slimes for 300 years. When it came to defeating the little blobs, I had a fair bit of confidence. I knew exactly where to stab them with my knife to finish them on the first attack. Frankly, I could kill them unarmed with my bare hands or my feet. I could kill them with a forehead flick. I figured my level had probably gone up a bit. Well, one day I knocked on the door of the guild, as I always did. I needed to exchange my magic stones. I took my spoils to the female staff member who was a descendant of Natalie's several generations removed. She'd started working here only recently, and I didn't know her name yet. Good afternoon. Oh, mas. Good afternoon. Oh, great witch of the Highlands. By now, everyone knew me as the Witch of the Highlands. Having been alive for 3 centuries, I was the most knowledgeable about the village history. Here are today's magic stones, 26 slimes worth. Yes, indeed they are. That's 5,200 gold then. I put the money in my leather bag. Oh, that's right, Great Witch of the Highlands. There was something I've been wondering about. What's up? How strong are you exactly? Strong? In combat, you mean? I don't know. Or, well, I doubt there's anything impressive. I'd registered as an adventurer so I could get money for magic stones, but I never actually adventured. After all, adventuring meant risking your life. A leisurely, peaceful life suited me better. The employee brought out the old slate. Would it be alright if I checked your status? Huh? My status? You know, I don't think I've seen it at all in the past 300 years. I hadn't needed to in this area. Monster just meant slime. I never actually sensed that I was level enough either. That's it. Claiming that I'd only ever found slimes would be a lie. In the forest there were horned rabbits, big caterpillars too. Those monsters were still weak though, and my knife brought me easy victories. The knife might have been specially made. I'd been using it for 3 centuries at this point, and there were still no nicks in the blade. If you actually gave it some thought, that was astonishing. This thing could be worth a fortune. Not that I'd sell an item that had taken such good care of me for 30 decades. You've watched over Flata for so long, Great Witch of the Highlands. I believe your status is probably astronomical as a result. I want to know what it is, though. The young staff member's eyes were brimming with fervent expectations. It's embarrassing to say this myself, but the people of Flata respected me. True, I gave them a hand whenever the village was in trouble. Over the centuries, several blacks had swept through, and every time I'd whipped up herbal curatives in bulk, created strengthening tinctures, and worked hard to ensure there were no deaths. In addition, as I'd watched over the village from the highlands since before its current inhabitants were born, they seemed to view me as some sort of guardian deity. As far as I was concerned, I was simply enjoying my life of R&R, which made that reference feel excessive and uncomfortable. I don't mind if you check my status, but I'm just a long-lived witch who knows a thing or two about herbalism. I hope you're not expecting it to look like some legendary adventurers. Oh, you're too modest. It may not seem impressive to you, but you're judging by your own standards, aren't you? Well, go ahead and look. It's going to be normal. I put my hand on the slate. If this had been Japan, the environment would probably have changed drastically over 300 years. But changes in this world were small. The slate was still functional and in use. Well, its ability to display statuses felt high-tech to me, but anyway. Ta-ding! Azusa, Class Witch, Level 99. What? Magic, teleportation, levitation, flame, whirlwind, item appraisal, earthquake, ice and snow, lightning attack, mind control, break spell, detoxify, reflect spell, mana absorption, language comprehension, transformation and spell creation. Yeah. Huh? No, that's a strange number. I bet the slate's broken. I mean, it's saying level 99, so... Ha! Great Witch! You're way too strong! The receptionist was so shocked I thought she might collapse. That's insane! You have to be the strongest in the world! I'm telling you that rocks are broken. All I fought are slimes, you know. How could I actually have almost 11 million experience points? Let's see. You've killed slimes for 300 years, 365 days a year without skipping a day, correct? Of course, I don't know about what happened long ago, so I'm extrapolating from what I've heard from the village elders, but... Incidentally, this world has a proper sun and moon and uses a solar calendar. That sounds about right. I think it's been 25 slimes or so per day on average. When I wanted to buy a grimoire or make repairs of the house or something like that, I remember going all out and plowing through a whole bunch to earn money. As you expect, after decades upon decades, the house in the mountains had been remodeled so much that it had practically been rebuilt. Somewhere along the way, you also picked up a special ability that increases the number of experience points you acquire. From what I hear, you haven't traveled anywhere far away, so I think you probably got it at one of your level ups. I suppose that could be. Even if all I'd done was kill slime after slime, that bonus had probably boosted my level at least a little. That special ability increases the number of experience points you get per monster by 2. What? Just 2? Well, each slime normally gives 2 points, so it basically doubled, and now we'll calculate 365 days times 300 years times 4 slimes EXP plus special ability bonus times 25 of number of slime skill per day. I think the equation would look something like that. Yes, I'm following. Well, I wouldn't have had the EXP boost from the very beginning, so this number will probably be a little high, but still... The 25 a day figure was a rough estimate, and if it had been more than that, the total would be higher. It wasn't as stuff. I'd never killed a non-slime monster either. At any rate, I'll try running calculation with this. 10, 9, 5, 0, 0, 0, 0. Let's see. How many thousand is that? 10,950,000. What? That's pretty close to my 10,840,000. Just so you know, large dragons are said to be worth 2,500 points, so 10,840,000 is enough for 4,380 of them. A Dragon Slayer Extraordinaire! It's the same as if you'd killed 14.6 dragon per year. After putting it in dragon terms, I began to suspect I'd done something extraordinary. This figure isn't a slate error. I knew it. Great Witch of the Highlands,
believe that number. I had since intuitively that I was growing. After all, my physical body stayed 17 and only my experience grew. That said, the thing it would reach such ludicrous number... No. More importantly, there'd be trouble if I couldn't keep this under wraps. They say that slow and steady wins the race, but this was too much winning. People might start asking for far more than just help around the village. For example, a dragon has appearances and such and place and goes late. Oh no! I wouldn't mind if it was just once. I could handle a single dragon. However, if I did it even one time, I'd have no choice but to go slay dragons elsewhere. They'd be like, "Oh, you killed that dragon, why can't you kill ours?" And if that happened, I could kiss my late back like goodbye. My days would be filled with adventures, packed with hard labor from morning till night, and then I'd work myself to death. Not that. Anything but that. I'd have to keep the rumors from spreading. Miss, could you remind me of your name?
It's Natalie.
What? Natalie? Impossible. Is she immortal to... Probably not. The name wasn't super unique. The two just happened to share it, that's all. The name Masayuki was used during Japan's Warring States period, and it's still around in the current Heisei era too. Okay, Natalie, keep this just between us, please. After all, a status is like a personal secret. You wouldn't want people gossiping about your bust size, would you?
Oh, I'm fairly secure in my bust size.
Boing. Show off. Shoot, so she doesn't have a complex about her busts. She's definitely bigger than I am. Leveling up doesn't seem to change her cup size, and my figure has been the same for 300 years. Okay, let's stop talking about this. In any case, don't tell anyone about my status. That's alright, isn't it?
I understand. I'll take care not to let word get out that you're the most powerful of all, Great Witch. I'd love to sing your praises to everyone, but as a resident of this village, I would never betray you.
The prestige of the Highland Witch came true for me.
Good, very good.
If I can get her to stay quiet, this will all work out. In 300 years, the only one who'd ever taken an interest in my status was this woman, Natalie. In other words, my peaceful days could very well last for another several centuries. Yeah, let's do that. Relieved, I returned to my house in the Highlands to test whether that status was real. I used the ice and snow spell on a waterfall in the forest. I still didn't believe it after all. I'd felt almost nothing to suggest that I'd gotten stronger. Freeze everything! Ha! Then the waterfall froze solid. Guess you could call that solid proof. For a few days after that, I lazed around the house reading grimoires I thought I bought a long time ago. On a side note, I cooked in large batches, freezing most of it with my ice and snow magic, which I hadn't even realized I'd learned to thaw out my food. I used flame magic. I adapted that to use as a fire in the kitchen too, so in a single bound, my magic raised my standard of living to the equivalent of modern society on Earth, which meant I was now able to spend all day lounging and dawdling around. Leveling up is the best! At this point, I could say that this was real luxury, the true pleasure of living. During my days as a corporate wage slave, going home on time had been like an urban legend. Even so, cold holidays had often been consumed by work that came in the day before, or by having so much to do in the first place that I was forced to go to the office in an attempt to catch up. Honestly, I don't care to do that ever again. I'm hell-bent on my loafing. That said, I have a whole lot of the same food frozen and I do get tired of it. Maybe I'll go to a restaurant in the village and eat out. It's been a while. So I headed down to Flata. I
had spells that probably would have gotten me there easily, like levitation and teleportation, but I was afraid that if people saw those, they'd figure out that my level was high, so I walked. It's better for your figure anyway. On the way, as expected, I encountered a slime. So 300 years isn't enough time for slimes to evolve? I thought. Ha! Flicking it with a finger. That was all it took to end the slime's life. Come to think of it, my knife had eventually become too bothersome, so for the most part I'd taken to smacking them to death. Was that also because I had unwittingly raised my attack power? Still, I thought witches have pretty strong physical attacks too. Even if my level was high, I was conscientious about picking up the magic stones that the slimes generated. I had no other source of income. I wasn't hurting for money, but if something was there for the taking, I wouldn't pass it up. After killing several slimes, I reached the village. The way there was downhill, which made it nice and easy. I entered a restaurant called the Savvy Eagle. This place had good omelets. They kept lots of chickens at the shop and the eggs were fresh. It's been a while. It's me, Azusa.
Well, if it isn't the Great Witch of the Highlands.
I greeted the restaurant's owner who was in charge of the cooking. When I sat down in my normal seat, the proprietress brought me my usual drink before I even ordered it. My body was 17, but yes, I drank alcohol. After all, I'd lived in this world for 3 centuries. Here you go, Great Witch. One stiff drink. Thank you much. I think I'll have an omelette again today. Oh, and bring some beef stew as well, please.
Yes, Great Witch.
It's nice to be a regular. When I was an office worker, I had been under too much stress to check out new restaurants. At lunch times, all the places were jam-packed with customers and I wasn't able to take my time. As a rule, I ate extremely feminine meals like the convenience store bentos and instant ramen. Before long, my omelette arrived. You could tell it was a masterpiece just by looking. I thought it would have Instagrammed it. It was faintly sweet from the first bite. Truly delicious. Your omelets are the best in the world, aren't they?
Your long life has earned you some skill with your compliments, Great Witch. Great Witch, have you ever actually gone to another town and tried their omelets?
They're the best in my world, and that's good enough for me.
True. Of all our customers, I think you're the one who severs them the most.
The proprietress and I have been bantering like this for over 15 years, so we're seasoned experts.
Oh, by the way, Great Witch, there was something I wanted to ask you.
The woman said, "Yes, well, what is it?"
Is it true that you're level 99?
Huh?
Where in the world did you hear such a completely unfounded rumor?
There was nothing for it but to play dumb. If I acted shocked, it would come back to bite me later.
I don't really know where it started, but that's what I heard. The neighborhood children were talking about it.
So, where had the children heard it? Actually, it was too late. This wasn't a big village and I was the closest thing to a celebrity around here, so there was a good possibility the story had gotten out. I will have to give Natalie a talking to later. What's done is done, but I'll make her think long and hard about breaking her promises. Well, unless I showed them my magic, no one could prove my level was high, so ducking the issue wouldn't be impossible. No one can tell you're level 99 just by looking at you. Madam, slimes are just about the only thing I've ever killed. How could I be so strong? I'm just a humble witch with a simple life and no ambitions for anything more. Witch is an entirely different class from mage. Mage are the ones who fling with spells around like they're going out of style, while witches are more knowledgeable about things like restorative herbs and ores. That's why I make medicines.
Is that right? From what I heard, you have incredible stats and you're so strong. No monster or adventurer could ever defeat you.
Oh, that's unexpectedly specific. For starters, I'll go see Natalie and find out what's actually going on. After finishing my meal, I visited the guild. The woman was at the reception window as always. Natalie, there's rumor going around. You told him I was level 99, didn't you? After I asked you to keep it a secret and never tell anyone no matter what? Huh? I haven't said a word. I wouldn't do anything to betray the great witch of the Highlands. Natalie looked bewildered. That wasn't the expression of a liar. In that case, where did it come from? But then something occurred to her. Ah, I see. Yes, that's probably it. Did you remember something? As I recall, when I checked your status, there was another adventurer in the guild. The guild was a public space, yeah. Even though it was a small village, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for another adventurer or two to be there. That's right. Yes, Mr. Ernst was there, and he's a notorious blabbermouth. I'm sure that's how word got out. So the one who'd overheard us was a chatty adventurer, huh? In that case, it was only a matter of time until the cat was completely out of the bag. Okay, if worse come to worst, it might reach the neighboring towns and villages too. I held my head, but not because it hurt. During my tenure as a cog in the corporate machine, I'd had awful headaches and usually took medicine for them, but these days, I was the very picture of health. Think. What can I do to minimize the damage? That's it. I'll have her override it with different information and save that. I checked behind me, making sure that there weren't any other adventurers here now. Natalie, please spread a rumor that my being level 99 was an error. Are you telling me to lie? Yes, I am. Say that I'm a perfectly normal witch who simply knows a little about botany. I'm begging you. Tell them the status slate was malfunctioning. Natalie is a guild personnel, which means it wouldn't be strange for her to know a lot about statuses. If she says it was a big mistake, lots of people should believe her. I'd feel awful saying someone with your abilities was actually weak. You're the pride of our village, great witch. Knowing about my abilities won't make anyone happy. On the contrary, jealous people could start coming out of the woodwork. At the very least, strength isn't necessary to my peaceful life, so please help me out. If everyone had despised me, it might have been nice to get some payback. The villagers already had plenty of respect for me, though. I also had a good track record, the long years I'd spent helping the village through medicine and healing. Status didn't need to enter this equation. I understand. I mustn't cause trouble for the great witch of the Highlands. Okay. Natalie seems convinced. A little damage control seems feasible. First thing first, I've done what I could do for now. in terms of adventurer rank, you would undoubtedly be an S among SS, a legend among S, a legend unseen since the kingdom was founded. What a shame. Maybe so, but please just deal with it. But it would make the name of the village famous far and wide. Deal with that too. They say fame comes at a price. There's a danger that it will bring trouble to this quiet village. Could I just still kill headquarters? Absolutely not. I made an X sign with my arms, rejecting Natalie's request with all my might. Up until this point, my relationship with the village had gone the way I wanted it to. I was just maintaining the status quo. Nothing wrong with that. Afterward, I was careful never to let the villagers see my power. I hadn't shown it to them before either, so basically all I had to do was play the part of a perfectly normal witch. Natalie seemed to have told the people around her that the slate had been wrong, and no more villagers asked me whether I was level 99. That put an end to the matter. I'd spend my days killing slimes and brewing potions against, or so I thought, until one day someone knocked on the door of my house. Who could it be? Almost no one ever knocked on my door. For starters, the location wasn't exactly convenient. The Highlands was a decent walk from the village, so getting there was a pain. It wasn't in the way to anywhere else either, so you wouldn't just happen to be in the neighborhood to stop by. On top of that, witches were special individuals to the villagers, so nobody just casually dropped in for a visit. People occasionally brought something to share with me, but that was about it. Because of that, hardly anyone ever came to my house. Of course, there were emergencies. Maybe a child had fallen ill, and the parents wanted some medicine, and at times like that, I raced to wherever I was needed. Since it would be terrible if someone had been taken ill, I closed the grimoire I'd been reading and headed for the entryway. When I opened the door, I discovered a party of 4 adventurers. They weren't villagers, to say the least. For one thing, the man at the front of the group appeared to be a young swordsman. He was probably in his early 20s. There was another swordsman with bulging muscles, a woman with a robe that clearly marked her as a mage, and a teenage cleric. 4 people in all. Yes, what do you need? Had they come to inquire about any powerful monsters nearby? I wanted to apologize to them. There was absolutely nothing except small fry. Oh, and there were no dungeons housing fantastic treasures. Oh, and there were no dungeons housing fantastic treasures either. As a matter of fact, there were no dungeons. Period. All I could really offer was the forest had plants with healing properties. If this has anything to do with an adventure, I just politely decline.
Are you Miss Adusa, the Witch of the Highlands?
Asked the young swordsman, who seemed to be the leader. Yes, I am. Unfortunately, this isn't a good area for adventuring. The monsters are weak and we don't have any dungeons.
No, it's alright. That isn't why we're here.
Then what it was? Why they're peddlers? Were they peddlers?
We would like to engage you in a trial of strength. Huh?
My voice cracked. I never heard that proposal before. A trial of strength? Did you want to arm wrestle or something?
No, we'd like to do battle.
I am a witch who ekes out a living by gathering medicinal herbs. Fighting me won't make you legendary heroes.
We heard there was a level 99 witch here.
There's rumors everywhere. That adventurer in the guild really must have overheard. Even adventurers who stuck to this area traveled to the towns and villages near us. So I guess that's how it got around.
That was a misunderstanding. The slate broke and gave me a weird number, that's all.
In terms of actual skill, I'm level 10 at most.
No, actually, that's probably too generous. Level 3, possibly. You shouldn't lie. You shouldn't lie.
The woman who looked like a magician was the one who'd spoken. She was in her late 20s.
I'm in a similar position, so I can tell the money is practically rolling off you. There's no mistake. You're phenomenal. You can tell from things like that? What is this? Are we like stand users who are drawn to one another?
Still, I'm not fighting, no matter what. I mean it. If I get into one battle, I'll never be able to stop. So, I'm just speaking hypothetically, alright? But even assuming I were a witch with genuine skills, I'd still have no reason to fight you. That's a perfectly sound argument. I'll stick with that one. I don't run the dojo here, so there's no point in anyone trying to beat me.
You see, we want to get stronger. Please spar with us and help us.
Okay. They're polite, but I really don't want to involve myself with this.
This was a problem. If I didn't get these people to go home, my peace and quiet would be ruined.
Okay, if it's come to this, maybe I can fool them with a lie. The truth is, long ago, I once grew drunk on my own power. Never happened!
We didn't know.
They were listening more honest than I expected. I felt a bit guilty, huh?
I heard many people, some even lost their lives to my attack spell. The only thing I've ever killed is slimes! And so I resolved never to fight again. Everything about this is true though.
So, even great adventurers have painful pasts.
Yes, and as a result, I can't fight with you. Please understand.
Seriously, I'm begging you, take a hint.
They'll probably give up now.
We understand how you feel, Miss Azusa. We'll withdraw.
Thank you very much. May the road you travel be a bright one.
Many more adventurers like us are bound to come to you, and it's probably going to be a lot of trouble. Be careful not to let anyone ambush you. Some adventurers only care about making a name for themselves.
Huh? Hold it. Have the stories about me spread that far?
Now there's a nasty piece of news.
Yes, I doubt there's an adventurer in this territory who hasn't heard about you by now. Besides, the local adventurers are very proud that Azusa, their witch of the highlands, is the strongest being around.
What do they think they're doing? Making me the pride of the region? I wish they'd quit sabotaging my R&R.
No help for it, I'll change my strategy.
Alright, I'll spar with you and only you, just this one, okay?
Do you mean it?
Aha! A wave of enthusiasm surged through the party. They were treating me like some sort of celebrity, huh? On one condition, though. If you lose, I want you to go around telling people the Witch of the Highlands was nothing special. If possible, I want to avoid fighting. The female magician nodded vigorously, haha. Alright, sparring or no, I'd hate to seriously injure you, so, I went outside and used a farming hoe to draw a big circle in the dirt. It was more of an oval than a perfect circle, but it would serve. Let's say, whoever steps outside this circle loses. Is that alright with you?
Of course, no one declined, and the matter was settled. This way, we'd be able to finish up fast without anyone getting hurt. If I leave this circle, I lose. If every one of you leaves this circle, your side loses. Let's do it that way. Oh, and anyone who steps outside is out of the match at that point. This condition favored my opponent, so I doubted that complaint. Well then, let's get right to it. As if to declare that victory went to the swift, the magician girl thrust her staff out in front of her and chanted something. Oh, wind, choose this moment to become my servant and raise the tempest. Naturally, she thought of using the wind to hurl me out. That had been my plan too. Woo! A cyclone twisted my way. Just from the noise, I could tell it would pack a punch. Apparently, these adventurers were fairly high level. Is that how you use the whirlwind magic? Okay, that had been one of the skill in my status, but I hadn't really known how to use it. Granted, I activated the ice and snow spell with a random chance, so maybe there wasn't any strict protocol. It wasn't that I had no steps to take. I dubbed this Operation Eye for an Eye. Oh, Wayne, choose this moment to become my servant and raise a tempest! I chanted the exact same word as my opponent. To put it bluntly, I stole him. No such thing as copyright in this world. Woo! A whirlwind several dozen times larger than my opponent's form and headed straight for the other group. First, it swallowed the magician girl's whirlwind and absorbed it. That didn't negate my vortex. On the contrary, it sped up. I've never seen a whirlwind like that.
It's a monster! Run!
My opponents were all taken aback. The storm was just that enormous. It was safe to say that the moment I'd used magic, they'd lost their will to fight. If the whirlwind pulled them in, I'd probably be able to send them out of the circle at the very least. All of my opponents took a direct hit from my tempest. Great! It worked! Except I think I might have been a bit too strong. Help me! Now, trapped in the funnel, the party was being blown farther and farther away. Shoot! I underestimated the power of level 99! This went way beyond outside the circle! The whirlwind gradually weakened with time, however, and at last the adventurers seemed to touch down softly. Right next to the village of Flata at the base of the hill. Oh crap! Frankly, they landed in the worst possible location. After that, just to make sure, I went to the village. To think you'd send a veteran party flying with a single whirlwind! That's our great witch of the highlands!
I saw your true power clearly with my own eyes, great witch!
Now our village future is secure for several hundred years. You really are level 99, aren't you? The fact that I trounced that party was already the talk of the village, huh? Well, of course it was. This place was at the foot of the highlands, and they had to have seen that enormous spell. Everyone in that party said they were going to start again from square one. Everyone in that party said they were going to start again from square one. They said that someday they'd be just like you, Great Witch. Hey, they were talking about me? That wasn't the deal. That's it. Since I launched them into the sky in front of the witnesses, there was probably no way to hide it. Lying and telling them a brutal monster had appeared would send the village into panic. Yes, I blew them away with magic. That the Witch of the Highlands was level 99 was now official, and everyone knew it. Okay, so this is the last chapter that I'm gonna read tonight, so are you guys ready? ちょっと水を飲みます。
Chapter 3. A dragon dropped by. After my true skills became public knowledge, against my will, I sent away for books and monsters and began studying. I hadn't developed the urge to slay monsters, quite the opposite in fact. I did it because if I knew enough about monsters, I could give advice to anyone who came asking me to slay one, which meant I could get by without going anywhere. I wouldn't mind offering them some help. I just didn't want anyone working me like a dog. After all, I'm level 99. Even I know that that's vanishingly rare in this world. If all the troublemakers banded together and showed up at my house, it would be an utter disaster. It had been only 10 days since I'd flung that party off my heels, so my life hadn't changed much. No one had asked me to kill a dragon or anything yet. The sole difference was that the medicines I sold on consignment through the general store were going faster, so I'd begun gathering more herbs. People probably believed that remedies made by a level 99 witch would be extra effective. Frankly, there's not much difference. This isn't a wired society. Maybe information takes a while to travel. It sure would be great if the news died down without spreading. Saying that aloud might have been a bad idea because somebody started banging loudly on my door. How was it this time? It wasn't likely that such rough blows were coming from villagers. If I pretended I wasn't home, they were liable to break the door down, so I hastily opened it. If they wanted me to help them slay a dragon, I'd teach them a good method for vanquishing the beast and send the visitor on their way. I hope there were no emergencies or villages in danger of being destroyed. Yes, who is it? Something enormous stood in front of me. It was tall. Not only that, it wasn't human. Big wings, big body, can probably breathe fire, has a pair of horns. The dragon had dropped by! In fact, it had been using its tail to knock, hence the violent thuds. May I ask what brings you here? According to the books I'd read, dragons were higher monsters, so they understood human speech. That it had even knocked on the door that at all implied such intelligence. My book learning was coming in handy right off the bat, but I really wish this hadn't been the scenario in which it was paying off. Here, in the province of Nanterre, dragons are said to be the strongest monsters, and I, Laika, am renowned as the strongest of all dragons. So dragons don't just understand human speech, they can use it? Its voice was so loud that it reverberated in my head. It felt like being at a concert. And what might a dragon such as yourself need with me? Recently, I've been hearing rumors that the strongest witch in existence lives here. Don't tell me you've come to test your strength. You're sharp. That saves time. Just how far has that rumor traveled? I'd at least like to keep it limited to the human race. This could not have been worse. No one had asked me to go defeat a dragon. The dragon had come to me. I don't want to be known as the strongest anything. I just accumulated experience point little by little over years and years until it became a huge number. That's all. I'll concede the title of strongest to you. As if I could settle for that. Fight me. Let's make this clear once and for all. What a thundering nuisance. As I keep saying, I don't run a dojo, so don't come by to bust it. What would you do if I said I don't want to? First, I'd trample your house flat. Then I'd lay waste to your garden. Looks like I've got no choice but to fight, huh? If I lost my house, I'd never be able to relax and take life easy. Alright, let's do it. However, I'm not claiming to be the strongest, so if I turned out to be much weaker than you, go easy on me if you would. Very well. As long as I am able to confirm I am indeed superior, that will be enough for me. Okay, we found an area with lots of wide open space away from the house. After all, I couldn't have my home getting wrecked in the course of the battle. Now then, I'll show you the true power of Laika. Yes, by all means, be my guest. The dragon flapped its wings and soared into the air. I'll burn you to ash! It spit flames from its mouth! No way I was going to take the brunt of that. No serious burns for me, thank you. Freeze everything! I slammed an ice and snow spell into the flames. My maneuver seemed to have worked. The spells collided, cancelling and erasing the flames. Not bad. So you really are high-level witch then. Guess I can't pretend to lose on purpose either. In the end, using my true power and defeating it quickly might be the most efficient method. Well, what's the best tactic here? After all, my opponent is airborne. I now briefly bid the ground farewell, I chanted, casting a levitation spell. Now I could say I was technically even with the dragon. I use levitation often because it makes getting home from Flata easier. So, how should I fight from here on out? I don't really want to get too close. That means I'll be using magic, but I doubt the whirlwind could blow away an opponent of this size as easily as human. Even if I did manage to knock my visitor out of the sky, if it fell in the village, it would cause massive damage. Lightning attack then? To be honest though, I didn't think I could control my power. Unlike slimes, dragons were highly intelligent, and if I've killed one, I suspected I'd feel guilty. I do my best not to take its life. Without left, flame, or ice and snow. Mimic me and fly, will you? The insolence! The dragon raised a hand to slam me out of the air, but I evaded easily. Ha! That empty swing left the dragon vulnerable. I slipped right in close to it. I'll burn you out of the sky! The dragon opened its mouth, preparing to speed fire again. Just what I'd been waiting for. I sent an ice and snow spell right at its mouth. Freeze everything! The dragon's jaw was immobilized in a burst of frost. In a stroke, its mouth had been turned into an ice cave. The dragon panicked, then dropped down to the ground and started running around. I'd done it. This way, I'd plunged my opponent into confusion without having to take its life. Well, got brain freeze. The dragon was so flustered it was pitiful. You could tell just by watching it run helter-skelter. Wait, what? Running around, huh? I had a bad feeling about this. Don't you wreck my house! Whatever you do, don't wreck it! But the dragon ran toward the house and it bumped into a corner. The room on that corner caved in. My anger flared. Look! I told you not to wreck it! I got in close to the dragon. This is the pain of my demolished room! Ah! That one hit knocked the dragon out and it toppled right over onto the plain. It didn't seem to be dead, but the damage was great enough that it wouldn't be able to move for a little while. Since I had punched it, to no one's surprise, my hand hurt. I should just consider myself lucky it wasn't broken. What power? The thing that
so ingloriously.
The dragon seemed unable to believe the circumstances in which it found itself. For a starter, that's a win for me, but more importantly, I looked at my damaged house. I was absolutely going to make sure I was fairly compensated. Listen, like the dragon, I went up to the beast and poked it. You'd better fix my house. If you don't, I'll never forgive you. My face was smiling, but I don't think my eyes were. Apparently, they managed to convince the dragon that I was more than willing to fight. Alright, I'll do something about it, so spare me. Don't take my life. I wouldn't do that. If I did, I couldn't make you fix this for me, could I? It isn't insured, you know? It didn't look as if the bedroom had been damaged, but there could have been a draft. Maybe I'd better stay at the village inn for a while. I have a fair amount of money saved up at the month where I make my home. Would it be alright if I return to get it? I'd like to use it to cover the repairs. Come to think of it, I'd heard that the dragons tended to collect gold. That's fine, but know that if you run, I'll come put you down. I swear to keep my promise. The dragons flew off somewhat unsteadily. That day, I went to the village to find lodgings.
Oh, great witch! You must have defeated the dragons.
We saw the worm very clearly, even from the village.
To think you defeat that creature, I'd expect no less, great witch.
So they all knew, figures.
Dragons were huge, and even from a distance, they were hard not to notice. I'm sorry, I did beat the dragon, but part of my house caved in, so I've come to stay at the village inn for a short while. I'm sorry to have disturbed you.
No, the dragon's to blame. Actually, he protected this village from the dragons.
I'll show you the best room at the inn.
You fool! No inn in the village is suitable lodgings for the great witch.
The conversation went back and forth a few times, and in the end I wound up staying in the guest room at the village hall. That was where royal officials stayed when they came here on business. Maybe it wasn't a bad idea to take people up on their kindness once in a while. Donating some expensive medicines later would probably balance the books. Since I was staying the night, I took a leisurely walk through the village for the first time in a long time. The place seems livelier than it had when I'd first arrived 300 years ago. More people too. There were probably several reasons for that, but from what I heard, I was one of them. The villagers often told me so. It was because I made such valuable medicines for the village. In every village, people died of illnesses or injuries before reaching the end of their natural lives. Because of the potion I provided, the risk of death was substantially lower here than in the surrounding villages. In particular, the significant decrease in deaths from childhood sickness was contributing to the rising population. I also made something like nutrition supplements for children, in addition to remedies for when they were ill. As far as I was concerned, gathering herbs and making medicines was akin to a hobby, part of my laid-back routine. If I was managing to save lives through that hobby, I was terribly honored. Since I didn't need to go back home that day, I decided to take it easy at the tavern and enjoy a drink at my leisure. Even at night, the tavern was hopping.
Hey, it's the Great Witch!
A toast to the Great Witch! Yay! Oh, many of the customers were already 3 sheets to the wind, and the place was free for all. I was shown to a table. For some reason, they brought me an expensive-looking drink I hadn't asked for.
I haven't placed an order yet.
When I was a child, your medicine saved me, Great Witch. The owner's daughter smiled as she spoke. This is a thank you. Please, take your time and enjoy your drink.
It had been like this all day. Nobody was letting me pay for anything. I guess a day like this isn't so bad every once in a while. I sipped my liquor slowly, savoring it. My tenure as an office worker had been busy. To be frank, I was little more than a slave to the company. I'd almost never had the sense that my work was helping anyone. Honestly, I'd have to say that my efforts were solely for the sake of the company. So it follows that no matter how busy I was, my entire time there had been meaningless. Interacting with people doesn't go against my laid-back life creed in and of itself. Maybe I should visit the village a little more often. The expensive liquor tasted quite different from what I usually drank. It was so mellow. I bet that's what made it expensive. Ah, that's delicious. Compared with long ago, this is heaven. Didn't mean to say that out loud. With you protecting our lives, Great Witch, we're living in heaven too.
When I was young, I spent a long time traveling, and there's no better village than Flata.
Hey, they were praising me to my face, so I took it with several grains of salt, but still, it made me happy. I'm glad I ended up living near this village as well. I said, and I mean it. I'm proud of this place. I like to keep watching it grow. That day, I got pleasantly drunk, then went back to my lodgings and slept. I was a little late getting to bed, but it was still earlier than when I got to knock off during my stint as a corporate slave. Besides, back then I'd had to wake up around 6 in the morning. Even though it wasn't 3 centuries ago, I remember it vividly. The breakfast they gave me was rather extravagant for the village as well. They were treating me like an official honored guest. I'm glad I'm a witch. I ate breakfast. The milk in particular was incredibly good, maybe because it was fresh from the cow. The food here was seasoned more simply than in Japan, and it always seemed to end up tasting flat. When it came to milk though, the village of Flata won, hands down. Packaged milk couldn't begin to compare. A hearty thanks to the cows and everyone who made the food. I know, maybe I'll teach them a bit about cooking one of these days. I still remember how from my years in Japan, so I should be able to improvise some recipes to teach them. As I absolutely mulled over this, the person in charge of the cooking strode quickly up to me. Great Witch of the Highlands, there's something here to see you. There's someone here to see you. Eh? Have them wait in the free meeting room then. I'll be done with my meal in 3 minutes. Wondering which villager it would be this time, I stepped into the meeting room. The young girl waiting for me had a pair of horns protruding from her head. She looked about the right age for middle school, 13 or so. Her clothes had a bit of Lolita flair to them, and the outfit suited her so well that it was obviously her everyday get-up. Not cosplay. Who was she? I'd never seen a horned villager before. Actually, the horns meant she wasn't a normal human, didn't they? I fear I caused you a lot of trouble yesterday. When our eyes met, the girl bowed politely. Yesterday? I don't believe it met. There was no way I'd forget someone with horns. Oh, I've transformed, so it's possible you don't recognize me. Huh? Transform? I didn't rescue a crane or a Jizo statue. I'm Laika, the dragon from yesterday. Say what? Wait, you're a girl? Come to think of it, Laika is a rather feminine name. Many members of the dragon race have abundant mana, and we were able to adopt human shapes. If we enter a human village without doing so, we end up causing a panic. said Laika and the dragon girl. Said Laika the dragon girl. True, if a dragon showed up at the village, it would probably throw the place into tribal uproar. Even if the villagers mobilize everyone in town, a battle would be hopeless against such an enormous creature. You aren't the girl age-wise though, are you? She couldn't actually be 13, not when presenting herself in such a dignified manner. I believe it's been about 300 years since I was born. So we're around the same age then. It seemed odd to talk about being around the same age when you were 300, but it was what it was, so I just had to roll with it. Also, please accept this. Like I said, a large cloth sack on the table. It seemed too heavy for a young girl to lift, but her true nature as a dragon meant it probably wasn't an issue. What's this? I peeked inside and the answer immediately presented itself. Gold coins. Kawaii. This is the money for the repairs then. This is the money for the repairs then. Yes, that's right. I brought all the money I've saved. Well, you're thriftier than expected, Dragon. Thank you. What this much? Repair shouldn't be a problem. If all we were doing was restoring my house, this seemed likely to cover it, so I was relieved. However, Laika was fidgeting as if she still had something to say. Don't tell me there's a girl with an intractable illness who needs this money to leave. Does she have a reason like that? I'm not an ogre. If there are extenuating circumstances, I'll take them into account. Actually, I had a request. What is it? It won't cost you anything as much. Say as much as you like. Could you possibly take me as your apprentice? Apprentice? I'd be your teacher, you mean? Yes! Fighting you made me painfully aware I am still inexperienced, great witch. I wish to discard my vain pride in being the strongest in the province of Nantara and start my studies over from the beginning. That's a lovely resolution, but an apprentice? I've lived 300 years and I've never once entertained that idea. Listen, I think it would be a bad idea for me to hide it, so I'm going to tell you. I didn't acquire my power through any sort of special training. I just routinely killed slimes around the neighborhood for a very long time. The experience point piled up, and here I am. So, I really had nothing to teach her. No! That build-up of my efforts is exactly what I would like to study. I was overconfident in my power as a dragon, grew arrogant, and I neglected to hone my skills. The result was ignominious defeat. This dragon girl is more earnest than I thought, huh? But in that case, what should I teach you? If I wasn't going to pass on any new skills to her, there was no point in taking her on as an apprentice, was there? I would appreciate the opportunity to live with you, earn my keep, and study your lifestyle. A roommate, huh? To be honest, I really wasn't keen on that idea. Like, lazing around by yourself, living with another person generates stress. Besides, I'd lived alone for 300 years, so it seemed a bit late to start sharing my space. Hang on. Wait, you said you were in your keep? Yes. Meaning you'll cook and clean and things? I mean, I wouldn't make you do absolutely everything, but of course I will. Asking you to handle the cooking and cleaning on top of making me your apprentice would be far too much. My resolve had begun weakening a bit. In that case, it might be okay. It was also true that, having lived alone for 3 centuries, I'd fallen into a bit of a rut. At this point, you could practically call it a tradition. No one in Japan had ever lived alone for such an extended period of time. I had my own established views on single occupancy, but it might be alright to close the book on the tradition. Alright, I'll let you become my apprentice. Thank you very much! Laika bowed her head courteously, pointing her 2 adorable horns at me. After 300 years of witchhood, I'd acquired an apprentice. Yay! Atandai! Alright! I was done! I can only read it until there because it's already like 1.5 hours now. And I think my voice needs the rest. So, thank you very much for enjoying this. This is one of my favorite title to read and to watch. So, if you haven't discovered this yet, if you haven't watched the anime, or if you haven't read the book, the light novel, don't forget to check it because it's a great series. And also, it's a very wholesome series, if I could say. Wait, let me turn back to the cover. Alright, there you go. So the title is I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. My sister likes it, haven't tried it yet. Really? You have to try it. You have to watch it because it's really nice. And yeah, it's nice, wholesome, and it's also funny. I really like how they deliver the joke in the series, although there's not really much joke in the earlier chapter, but it will also get funnier and cuter or wholesome more in the later chapters. So, if you're interested and if you're new to Bookwalker, you can just register and buy books that you like with the promotion code, with the discount coupon with my name Risu to get 600 yen discount. Yay! So, what are you waiting for? Let's just sign up to Bookwalker and buy the books that you like. Kita mati medyo na mais. You will get 600 yen off with the code. As long as you're a new you just registered, like you just made a new account, like you're new to the site and you haven't buy any book yet, so you can use this coupon for the discount. Yes, just type Risu there and ta-da! You got the discount. Is it physical books or digital books? It's digital books because digital books are also nice and it's also easy and nice for your go-to. So yes, digital book. Don't forget to check it out. And also, because we're at the end of the stream, I'm gonna read the donation. Okay, from a Wild Nexus. Yay! Finally made it to a live stream. I haven't slept yet. Oh no! It's past 6 a.m. and we'll listen while comfy in bed. I've never heard of this series before and looking forward to it. And I really hope that
you fell asleep now? Because really, you really need to sleep. I'm really glad if you guys are falling asleep by me reading stories, because that's the point. And thank you so much. Also, next from Songhao. Okay. Thank you so much for the donation. Wait, I'm gonna read the message. So, Songhao, the answer is no, because actually I just genuinely like the series. I'm sorry. And basically, that's why I picked this series, is because I like the wholesome slice of life, the wholesome witchy series. I watched this. I've been killing slime for 300 years, and also I watched the Wandering Witch, the Wandering Witch with ashen hair, silver hair, ashen hair. I don't know. I mean, if you know it, then you know it. Okay. Excuse me, it is slice of life. Okay, it is life. It is slice of life. Yes. Yes, Majo no Tabi Tabi. So, generally, I just like this kind of stories. And if you have any other suggestion for me with the witch as the main character, feel free to suggest me under #resuggestion. Yes, Azusa and Elena are great witch. I like them. And they're also pretty. And I'm gonna read super chat now. Okay, from Bretner. Nani? Is this Russian? ちょっと待ってください。Oh, that's another tongue twister. It's a little bit harder than the last time, but thank you. The meaning is that I brush the puppy with a brush, tickle his sides. Thank you! That's a nice tongue twisters. Yeah. Next from Unknown Pony. How long did it took you, Risu, to max out level? I think I need another 1,000 years. Because I also like to take my time leisurely. Yes. And welcome new prisoners. I really hope you enjoy your stay because it's a nice place. Next from 次は先生からスパチャが来た Hi! Hi! Next from Maximus Dong. I know that your name is Maximus Genitalia, but I don't like the word genitalia, so I'm just gonna say that your name is Maximus Dong. So, my dream is to write an isekai story without touching the tropes and cliches and replacing it with tokusatsu elements like Kamen Rider and Metal Heroes. That's actually quite amazing. You should go for it. Yes! And your story is going to be Maximus Great! Ganbatte kudasai! Next, from Pharaohfox. This squirrel is amazing and I stand her. Aw, thank you so much! Next, from Churchy Assassin. Thank you for story time. I love this series and currently on volume 5 of the light novel. Thank you for bringing more attention to the book. Thank you so much. I actually have options whether I can read the manga or the light novel, but because I like reading books out loud so much, like reading aloud, like stories and all that, so that's why I choose light novel much more than that, because that's just nice. I like it. And also, if I'm reading this and it can help people to fall asleep nicely, I would be glad. Next from 6. I can't help but to feel that Ayunda and Azusa have some things in common. Anyways, I'll check it later. Thank you so much, 6. I mean, Ayunda and Azusa rhymes somewhat. Next from Burger Gio. Gambarlisu! Arigato! Next from Creamy Morphle. What? What? Спасибо за скаутскую перед сном. Two. I'm not your mom, so I will not say that. Not your mom. Go away. Next from Next from Wild Nexus. I tried to sleep but got wrapped up in the story and wanted to know what happened next. I love audiobooks, so this was a lot of fun. I see. So if you like the series, don't forget to purchase the book, or you can just purchase the book. Thank you so much. And use the coupon with my name on it to have some 600 yen discount. Next, super chat from Dalton Tinoco. Thank you very much for reading. I greatly enjoyed your narration and voices. Wow! 何これ、お疲れ様かな。お疲れ様です。はい、ありがとうございました。Okay, next from No9. Smiley face. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you guys? Why? You guys are... I don't know, it just looks fishy. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, you're happy? Alright, it makes us smile. Okay, sure. That's rude, I'm not a fish. Okay, you're not a fish. Okay then, because that is the end of the story and I've read all of the donation. Thank you so much for tuning in to me reading stories. I would like to read more stories in the future, so maybe I will search for more titles to read in the future. So, thank you so much everyone, and what's your list? It's Poppypo time. It's Poppypo time. Don't